Hello, it's Stacey Holt from Real Estate Excellence. It's Monday, the 26th of May, 2025. Now, we're 26 days into the new first time we ever have a prescribed RTA form for rental applications. So, as many of you know, particularly for many months, I've been particularly concerned before the law started 1st of May in relation to how this was actually going to work. I wrote to the Minister. I've done many things, and as I've previously said, the RTA implementation team has been great. But look, the long and short is the change didn't occur that I, and I'm sure many other, have been asking for. Now, as you know, just very brief, in the recent months, since about February, I've been calling for the new LNP government then, and when I say new, they're not new now, but of course they took over, but they won the last election in October after a 10-year or so Labor government who did all this. So long story short, and anyone that's been following my socials or my long-running blog, public blog on my website, realestateexcellence.com, and also my social media the last few days. Some great news, not yet the news we want, but it's very positive, and I want to just publicly thank. I did finally hear from the Housing Minister, which very grateful for. A very detailed correspondence, which I'm not going to share publicly. It's not appropriate at this stage, but I'll share what I can when I can and when it's appropriate professionally. Okay. So I acknowledge and thank the Housing Minister, Mr. Sam O'Connor, who has replied last Friday, just gone, the 23rd of May. Now, there's a couple of things in there that I'll comment on in 1 second. But before that, a few days prior to that, I got a wonderful communication reach out from a senior member of the Department of Housing. Now, just so you know or remember, you've got Department of Housing with the Minister as sort of like a hierarchy, and the RTA is beneath, not below, but just as hierarchy goes, but underneath the Department of Housing. And the Department of Housing is with the Minister, and then the RTA implement, monitor, do what they do with the law. So they're restricted into what they can do. So anyway, previous to the Minister's communique, which again, thank you, and there was acknowledgement of apology for such a delayed response, and I thank him for that. So moving on. So previous to that, only a few days ago, last week, as I say, a senior member of the Department of Housing reached out to me and asked for a meeting, which of course I'm grateful for, and yes, for sure. Now that's happening later today, that I'm having that meeting. And I've shared numerous communique with the senior department member of concerns, not to bombard, but to obviously in professional briefing, given limited of time, and we haven't got all day and all that stuff. So as I guess a shout out, given that I've done a lot of social media and quite a few videos over the last few months, and I particularly remember when I did the last PME, Property Management Excellence training throughout Queensland in February, March, just gone, in 2025. And when I was training on the May 1 laws, I just remember so well saying to so many of you face to face that this application law change, which obviously hadn't started then, but we were training for it, getting ready for it, is probably going to be the biggest challenge, if not the biggest we've ever had in the industry. And I stand by that today. It is. It's so flawed, I just can't begin. So moving forward, there's some positivity in including that the Minister plus the Department of Housing has assured us and then assured me in the private communication that they're monitoring the changes and assessing their impact on supply, rent and affordability. So my comprehensive briefing notes that I've sent as part of my meeting for a little bit later today includes in essence that firstly, what I'm calling for and what I think we need and for the industry is to amend extensively, but amend the sections to 1, remove the prescribed rental application form, remove it, and amend the legislation in the provisions that they have created to, if needed, and I think this is probably a negotiation and a good thought bubble, but it's more than a bubble, but putting in provisions of what we can't do or can't ask, as opposed to regulating the form regulating, the references, it's just so flawed. I won't waste any more of your time because many of you know the issues. And I just want to acknowledge there's so many wonderful PMs who have given me practical, which is great. You're in the real world. I sit and stand beside you and advocate with you and for you, and particularly for my members, but this is my industry as well. But so many PMs gave me practical and their thoughts of, and I thank you so much because that helped me so much to reconfirm, plus see the practical issues from real world property managers. So there's so many issues, and as I say, all I'm calling for, and all I could hope for us as my position is to amend substantially the flawed legislation that's not working and it's not going to work. Get rid of the prescribed form, because in lieu of many other issues, you've got the privacy consent, the TICA consent. There's so many delays happening with tenants right now because they're using the RTA Form 22. Then they're applying with us. Then we've got to get any disclosure, the consent, the tenancy database privacy, and it's delaying applications. And it's just crazy. Now, that's just one part of this situation. You've also got you cannot verify employment. You've also got you cannot verify past rental history unless the tenant puts those details in item 11 as referee. The ID thing is another issue, and as I'm hearing through most of you, and I said via video publicly a number of months ago that, and this is what's happening. I'm not Einstein. I'm not Nostradamus. But I predicted and said owners won't rent to people who won't give ID for their risk profile. I'm wondering, what are they hiding? And of course, that's that tenant's applicant legal right not to give ID. But hang on, the owner owns his property. What about you guys having to sign up to QDI now with the Queensland Digital Identity? Like, it's flawed. This is quite serious. You couldn't get a bank loan without identification. So the tenants are protected with obviously all the existing Privacy Act and risk management best practice laws. And now they've got the personal information laws, which are part of this May 1. So look, I'm singing your tune. And as I say, there's so many issues, and I see the resolution, which I can only hope comes for us. And if it does, sooner rather than later. To fix this early on before this does too much damage to our sector. Also, I number one is my industry and with property managers, the stress you're under trying to deal with this. And also I know through your great feedback that tenants are getting peeved off at you. Well, so let's hope, and hope dies last, and positivity. As I say, the Minister, and again, thank you, and the senior member I'm meeting today has also confirmed in writing the department is keeping a close eye on this, and I'm so grateful that they're prepared to listen now. And again, I thank the RTA, who are very restricted, because again, they're not below, but they're beneath the hierarchy. And let's keep moving. So, Stacey Holt from Real Estate Excellence, thank you for joining me, and stay tuned for another update when I can. Bye for now.